Hello, my loves. Welcome back to my channel, Bookalicious. I'm so happy that you're here. I'm so happy that it's autumn. So I'm super excited to be planning a bunch of fun autumn videos. And I did read 5 books in September, it is good, but it's like not the level of books that I wanted to read. I obviously wanted to read so much more, and I'm still just trying to get out of a really big reading slump that I do blame Tweet Cute for. If you've watched some of my previous videos, you will have heard me talk about that book and how it just put me in a horrible reading slump, but I'm going to try and get out of it in October. I definitely will. But let's talk about the 5 books I read in September. The very first book I picked up was People We Meet on Vacation by Miss Emily Henry, who is just killing it right now. This book is going to be a movie very soon with Tom Blythe and the main actress from that TV show, My Lady Jane. And I can't wait. I think all of Emily Henry's books are basically being turned into movies, which is just awesome for her, like so amazing. And so I definitely want to read all of her books. And everybody loves Emily Henry, everybody. And I have a very complicated history with some of her books. I did give Beach Read another try a few months ago, and I really liked that one. And so ever since then, I've made it kind of like my mission to try and read all of her books. And this is the second book. I don't think it's the second book that she's ever written, but it's like her second adult contemporary book that got really popular after Beach Read. And this one has the friends to lovers trope, and it's got a lot of traveling and some like now and then chapters, so like flashback chapters to when these two characters first met each other when they were in college. And this book follows the story of Poppy and Alex, who are definitely opposites in every way. Alex is the love interest, and he's very reserved and a little bit more quiet and on the shy side. And then Poppy is just really quirky and bubbly and fun, but they instantly hit it off in college. And so when we get those flashback chapters, we get to see how they connected with each other, and we get to see that traveling is their thing. They love to travel together. They're really good travel buddies. And there's kind of like a little spark between them, but they've never really dated in college or ever. And eventually they kind of lose contact with each other. Something happens and they don't talk for like a really long time. And then Poppy decides to get back in contact with Alex to try and go on one last trip to save their friendship. And that's kind of what the book is about, kind of like what the buildup is. And I actually really did like this one. I did give it 3.75 stars because I did not like it as much as Beach Read. I just think this book is a little bit more forgettable than Beach Read. I think Beach Read is just more memorable to me than this book. And I don't think I'm ever going to be like a huge Emily Henry fan. I don't, because she writes romance books in a very unique way where it's like kind of a rom-com, but where it's more kind of like a literary fiction with a heavy dose of romantic subplot going on, if that makes any sense at all. I don't even really know what I just said. But in any case, I'm very happy I read this book. Some parts dragged a little for me, some parts didn't feel super romantic, but I'm not like a huge friends to lovers fan. I much prefer to like watch friends to lovers in a movie or a TV show than read about it, because reading about it is just a little bit boring and tedious, and you get frustrated with like the miscommunication going on. And these two characters were horrible at communicating their feelings to each other, their romantic feelings to each other. They were so horrible at just having a good conversation. That's all they needed. That's all they needed. Regardless, I still had such a good time with this book. It was very easy to get through, and I really did enjoy having the now and then chapters because we could see them like traveling in the present day, and then get chapters of them meeting up in college and seeing like all of their past vacations together as well, which did kind of help build that connection and chemistry between the characters. So I did like that. I liked Alex as a love interest. He was a a little bit bland, a little bit boring, but I liked him just fine. He was a good guy. And then I really liked Poppy a lot. I think she was adorable, very easy to love as a character, and just really sweet, and her heart always seemed in the right place, and I just really liked her. So I have high hopes for the next Emily Henry book on my list, which is Book Lovers. People absolutely loved that book, and they loved Happy Place as well. So I'm very excited to just keep going with these Emily Henry books, and hopefully one of these days I will give one of her books a 5 star. It could happen. I have high hopes that it could happen. You never know. But that was my thoughts on People We Meet on Vacation, and I actually would recommend this book, especially if you're like a big Friends to Lovers fan, then I think you would really enjoy this one. The second book that I picked up was Picking Daisies on Sundays, and I believe that this is kind of like a debut romance book, or it's either the author's second romance rom-com book. So I gave this 3 stars. It was not a bad book. I want to first off say that it was not a bad book. It's just one of those books that did not stay with me. Like, I found it very forgettable. It's one of those books that I just forgot immediately after I read it. So my description of it's probably not going to be very accurate. But then again, when are my descriptions ever that good when I'm talking about what the synopsis is for these books? Like, I'm not good at that, let's be honest. But in any case, I can tell you that the main character's name in this book is Daniela, and she's always been in love with her childhood best friend Levi, and they kind of lost contact after high school. And then about 4 years later, they randomly run into each other at a restaurant, and he just randomly asks her to pretend to be his girlfriend to his sister's wedding. So he wants them to fake date each other, and she can't say no to him, so she does say yes. And then they start this whole journey of fake dating, and then feelings between them start to spark. And it was a cute book. It was really cute. I also want to just take a moment to appreciate the adorable cover. The cover is just absolutely stunning. And this book, as you can see, is also no spice. And do you guys like this background color? Because I wanted it to give off some autumnal energy. So let me know if you like that background color, please. But yes, this book has no spice. So if you are a no spice girly, then this is a book that you can add to your TBR. It was very wholesome, very sweet romance. I really liked Levi. I think he was so adorable. And I did like the main character, but she did irritate me a little bit at some times. She had a little bit of like pick me girl energy, just a little bit. But she was okay. But I really did like Levi, and the writing style was really easy to get through. I feel like the writing style could have had a little bit more of like a quirky edge to it to make it seem more unique, because this is a story that I feel like has been told a lot of the time, like fake dating and friends to lovers. But I always do enjoy a good fake dating book. I always do. And it was a fun book to read in the moment, but it's just one of those books that I just forgot about completely after I finished it. So I would recommend, if you just want something really easy to get through, if you just want a little rom-com to binge read, and if you're looking for a no spice romance book as well, then of course I would recommend this book to you so you can add it to your TBR. But those were my thoughts on Picking Daisies on Sundays, a solid 3 star read, and I actually would read more books by this author to see if I like their writing style more in future romance books. Okay, then I read Teach Me to Please by Sweet Cosette, and you're probably wondering, where the heck is this book? Like, where is it? Is it a Kindle book? No, I wish it should be on Kindle. It should be everywhere. This is, funnily enough, a Wattpad book. So I decided to deviate from my TBR. I had like a whole TBR planned out. I actually had filmed a whole TBR video for the month of September, and I just never posted it because there was no point in posting it, because I just deviated from that TBR, and shame on me for that. But if I hadn't deviated, then I probably never would have read this book. I recently got the Wattpad app. I've been posting like a little short story on there as well. And I just stumbled upon this book. And I read it and I absolutely am obsessed with it. I love books with like a nerdy boy and popular girl, especially if she's kind of like a mean popular girl, because it's just like the ultimate opposites attract. It's like the best trope. Not the best trope, enemies to lovers is the best trope, but it's kind of got some enemies to lovers vibes in that trope, anyways. But it's so good, it'll get me every time. I love it so much. This book did it just perfectly. This is the best Wattpad book I've read in my entire life. And if other books on Wattpad, like after, are getting movies made about it and are like that popular, then I feel like this should be that level of popular as well. It should. But in any case, this book is about Sienna Callum. She's about to graduate from high school. She's known as the Queen Bee, and she has tons of friends, and she's always having some type of fling going on, and she's just super duper popular, but she's not very smart academically. And so she wants to get into a very good college once she graduates. And so she decides to enlist the help of the smartest guy in school named Roman Lawrence. I love him so much. He's known as like the biggest nerd in the entire school. He's very much a loner. He doesn't really have any friends, but he is interested in asking out this girl named Emily, but she doesn't want to go out with him because it's been known that he doesn't date anyone. He's not known to be experienced. And so Sienna makes a deal with him. She will tutor him to be more experienced, if you know what I mean, and he will tutor her academically. And so the two of them strike a deal, and they really do not like each other from the beginning of the book. And then as the book progresses, you get to see their connection grow. And I just love them so much. And yes, this book is, of course, very spicy. The spice was good. The spice was good, I will say that. But aside from that, even if you want to skip all of that, they just have the most wholesome, like, conversations. And seeing two people who are just so different from each other just connect in the way that they do is just so lovely to read about. I loved the writing style. I loved the other side characters in this book. Our main character has a side character, best friend, who is just so funny, so funny. And then she has her own spin-off book as well. And I just really liked the way that this writer created these characters and created this story. And I wish that this would be as popular as some other Wattpad books that have been published because this was just so, so, so good, and I could not recommend it enough. Like, so, so much fun. Next, I decided to read a fantasy book finally, and I'm going to try and read so much fantasy books in October because autumn and winter is the perfect time to start reading fantasy books. I mean, I read fantasy books all year round, but autumn and winter, those are the perfect seasons of the year to read fantasy books. But anyways, I read These Hollow Vows by Lexi Ryan, and this series or this duology has been on my list for so long because everyone's always said that it's just like ACOTAR, and I do love ACOTAR. I do not love it to the amount that a lot of other people love ACOTAR. I have a lot of issues with that series, but I do love ACOTAR. I do love a good fantasy book with Fae, and so I was very excited to give this book a try, and it did not disappoint. I gave it 4 stars. I think it was such a good introduction to this duology. The book is basically about this girl named Bree, and she's our main character, and her younger sister gets kidnapped by the Unseelie Court. And so Bree goes there to rescue her sister, and the king is refusing to give her back her sister until she agrees to steal these special artifacts, free artifacts from the Seelie Court, and she has to go steal them and bring them back to him, and only then will he give her her sister back. And that's basically the setup of the book. I don't want to go too much into it because there are some other details going on in the book, and I think it's fun if you kind of go into this book a little bit blind. And I really enjoyed my time with this book. There is kind of like a love triangle going on, and I would say that this is like a very well written love triangle because sometimes I hate love triangles. They can just be so frustrating and so annoying, and there's usually like one person in the love triangle who you just really want the girl to get with. But in this one, I feel like both options were really, really good. And I just really liked the writing style. I think the writing style was very engaging and just very fun. And there were no like lagging moments. Everything felt really like well paced and had like a lot of good action. And I really liked the fae in the book and the way that the two courts were kind of described. And I loved our main character. I think she was so much fun. She was funny, and then she was very adventurous and cool, and I just really liked her. So I'm super excited to see how this duology ends because the book does leave off on a really big cliffhanger. So I can't wait to see what happens next and how this is all going to like wrap up in the next book. Then I picked up Reckless by Lauren Roberts. This was the last book I read in September, and just, oh my goodness, what an interesting book. Well, not really. It was actually really boring until the end. Like the last 20 pages ramped up all of the excitement that I wanted to feel from this book. And I've seen a lot of people who loved Powerless. I did not love Powerless, and I really did like the novella Powerful. And so I really hoped to love this book, and I did not. I loved aspects of it, but overall it did feel very boring. But anyways, I've seen a lot of people who absolutely loved Powerless say that they really did not like this book and that this book kind of felt like a filler book. Basically, that there was just nothing really going on with it until you got to the end. And I obviously can't go too much into detail about the plot because I do not like to give spoilers on my channel. But I feel like you would know what Powerless is about because it's just so popular. It's basically like a mashup of Red Queen and the Hunger Games, where it's this world where there are people with powers, people without powers, and the people without powers are supposed to be killed off by the elites. And our love interest Kai is an elite. He's a prince, and so his job is to be the enforcer and to get rid of people without powers. And then our main character Peyton does not have powers, but she pretended to be a psychic in the first book. And now in this book, you're just kind of following Kai and Peyton and their continuation of their love story and their journey. And this book was very, very, I keep saying interesting, but it wasn't until the end. But the end was so good. I would have given this like a 2.75, which is what I gave Powerless, but I gave it 3 stars because the ending was just crazy. Crazy, crazy, crazy. And I'm actually so excited to see what happens in the last book. I think my issue with this is that Lauren Roberts, I mean, this book is a lot shorter than Powerless. Powerless was like 494 pages or something crazy like that. This was 380 pages. But honestly, I feel like she could just write books that are like 250 pages because I don't she's not a bad writer. I'm trying so hard to like voice my opinion in like the right way. She's not a bad writer. She just isn't good at filling up a lot of space in books with meaningful content, if that makes any sense. It feels very back and forth with Peyton and Kai, where they're constantly like flirting and then bickering and then flirting and bickering again and again and again, and it just gets really old and there's just hardly like any plot to the story. But the end made up for a lot of the boring parts in the middle of the book. And like I said, I'm very excited. I feel like the last book in the series could be my favorite if it's done right. I have some opinions about what I want to see happen in the last book. I can't say what they are, but I feel like it could be really good. So I am looking forward to that. But this was 3 stars. It was a solid book, and I did like it more than Powerless. So I am very happy about that. I love you guys so much, to the moon and back, and I'm just so excited to hopefully do more reading in October and have a more fun reading wrap-up video for you guys in October and November and December. And I know that I'm just such a slow reader. I've been such a bad reader lately, but I'm going to try and make up for it. I really am. And if I don't, then I need you guys to hold me responsible. But let me know what you read in September. Let me know if you've read any of the books that you've seen in this video. And my next video will hopefully be up really soon. I'm going to do a video where I talk about some of my October hopefuls, like books that I really want to get to in October. It's going to be a very ambitious list of books, and I'm super excited to post that video for you guys. And again, I just love you so much. Thank you for watching. Please make sure to like and comment and subscribe for me. It really helps me out. And happy reading to all of you, and I will see you in another video very soon.